Hey, welcome back by 100 team. Thank you for clicking and thank you for sticking with us. This is the last video for the week, and I know it's been a lot of content, but I actually hope this has been really beneficial, interesting, and useful, and not felt too much like a time burden, even though I know you guys are really busy right now, stretched very thin as well. Okay? So if that last bit about performing research using Indeed felt a bit rushed, it's because we have a whole actual other video right now on that. And so this is going to build off everything you did before and allow you to, in this video, perform research using Indeed. And this is just more data to empower you to make a good decision for your life. So the learning outcomes here are to use the Indeed database, which we're now familiar with as a job hunting tool, to research companies. Let's put this full circle. We can actually do more research on the companies and look for similarities and differences between other platforms that we've been using, like Biospace and Glassdoor. We can read more employee reviews. Again, this can't be taken too lightly, in that we don't want to listen to just one-off reviews. We want to make sure we have a good data set and thoroughly vet the information, look for similarities and differences, and think about ultimately, what are we comfortable with as a pro and a con? Do we agree or disagree with what people are saying? And again, save opportunities of interest for later viewing and applying, which is a little bit different than staying up to date just by receiving alerts. So this one is going to tell you how to store the opportunities, keep organized in line with creating a spreadsheet like we talked about in another video, and then coming back later when you have your job application materials all together, you've talked to references, you've gotten them to agree to help you out before you actually do submit the button. So Indeed, my friend, we're going to use Indeed, my friend, to investigate companies. Perform that research. Be thorough. Does it match your values? Does it match your goals? Does it match your skills? Okay. So let's look at how they organize reviews and allow you to browse your salary expectations. Maybe you'd just rather forego Glassdoor because you didn't find the interface to be super user-friendly, and you'd rather use this altogether. That's fine. Empowering you to make this choice by showing you these options is a big part of what we're doing here, right? Just like with biomath, there's not just one way to get to the answer. You could set up the problem as a dilution or as a C1V1 equals C2V2, whatever your mind makes sense. And don't tune me out just because I started talking about math, okay? That's all I'm going to say, all right? This is just to empower you. This is what it looks like when you're on Indeed.com and you click on the company research tab, investigating companies. It says get access to millions of companies, and really it's true, and all the reviews that are associated with it. So to help you find great places to work, you can search directly by company name, and you don't even have to put the city state, but if you did put city state as a way to filter, you can find companies to investigate, like for example in the Sacramento region. You click that blue Find Companies button, and it looks like, oh, look at that down there. Do you want to search for salaries? You can actually include that in this search as you're investigating companies, or you could do that completely separately. We'll talk about both. Indeed is such a kind-hearted company. They've actually provided some tutorials first on what they want you to achieve when you actually use the platform to research a company. So it says, hey, this is how you do it. And we've been talking about some things, and I want you to see the similarities and differences between what we've been talking about. Right off the bat, number one, look for companies that share your values. This isn't just your instructors being all mushy-gushy and wanting you to be all sentimental and think deeply just for the sake of doing it. No. Companies want you to do it. These tools are telling you to do it to help you find the best company. So right off the bat, number one, look at that. I'm going to animate that arrow in just for, good effect there. Oh, look at that. In-N-Out Burger. Okay. Number two, research employee benefits. We've talked about that. You got to think about the benefits. 401k plans, right? That means retirement plan. Do they allow you to enroll in a 401k plan right when you're hired? Does it take a certain amount of time for you to be, quote, vested, meaning all of your contributions and all the contributions that the company's making fully accessible, or is it just a certain amount? Is it only like 40%, or does it take you 5 years to get 100% vesting? You can learn all about benefits such as retirement and healthcare options by this particular platform, and that's right there in number two. And I can't tell you, benefits are so important. You might look at a salary and think to yourself, I don't know if that's high enough. Don't forget that the benefits package might more than make up for that. So for example, if they say that their healthcare package is provided in terms of most of the monthly cost of a healthcare plan, maybe for you and maybe for your spouse and maybe for your kids and dependents and the families you plan on building, well, that's a lot of money right there that isn't just reflected in the salary. Whereas maybe a job that looks like it's $5,000 a year more might have costs that equal or exceed that in monthly deductions for healthcare. So you want to think about that. You want to look at retirement benefits. Does the company match? Right? If you're allowed to put in a certain amount towards a 401k, and usually that value that you can cap out at changes year to year, and I think it's around $18,000 a year at the moment, but that changes, and sometimes companies will provide a fraction of that as well on top of your salary. So if you're putting in a little bit, they'll put in a little bit. Maybe it's going to be anywhere from 1% to 5%. You want to know what that number is, if there's a number at all, and if it takes a certain amount of time of you being at that company for that to kick in. This can more than offset the cost of a difference in salary. So it really, and I'll animate this one In-N-Out Burger to look at benefits. Okay, I'm going to skip down to number 5, although numbers 3 and 4 are absolutely important, but we've talked about them before in terms of how the business operates and the leadership. That actually is hard to find until you look at reviews. And so number 5, expand your research to news and recent events. You might have seen derogatory news about Uber's leadership and the terrible culture it creates for women there. That's why I absolutely will never take an Uber. So how does it refine and define your values? Look at news, look at recent events. That'll tell you if they're booming or busting and how their hiring might be affected. Ask your network for opinions, number 6. I already just kind of mentioned in number 7, red flags of headlines. Couldn't give you a better example of a local and recent one than the one I just did. And number 8, reinforcing what we've talked about. This takes time. It takes the 3 P's of patience, persistence, and positivity. You need time. You need to set aside time to research and then create materials and then wait out companies to get you these offers. It takes time, and you need to set it aside. Number 9, look for news stories. It's kind of already been mentioned in these previous ones. You want to understand the company you want to work for based on your values, and then be strategic in how you share things in an interview. We'll get to that later. Okay, so this is to point out some of the very important things that go with what we've been talking about, and that's great. Okay, so to do a little comparison shopping with an example we've used before, and you might remember Novartis now as that company, and you might remember that on the other website we looked at, it was a 3.8 out of 5. Here it's a slightly higher 4.1 out of 5. Using 3,400 reviews. Novartis is that biotech company we talked about with locations in Emeryville, okay? And we kind of looked at it. So you see here ways to look at the company. They're going to give you an overview via the snapshot. Why join us? Ooh, Novartis has a little recruiting pitch. You should click on it. Other companies do too. Maybe you're convinced, maybe you're not. They've got tons of reviews. We're going to go there in a second. Just like we've talked about before and with other sites, you can see the salaries. And again, maybe this is so much more straightforward than Glassdoor. I can just do all my things here. I can upload my resume, I can save my job alerts, I can refine my searches, and I can research the companies, the salaries, and the reviews. That's great. You don't have to use the other ones. I just want to show you data points so that you can choose. Novartis employee reviews are searchable on Indeed. If you look at the middle there, it says job title and location. You can search ratings by category. Work-life balance, look at that, 3.9. Job security and advancement, way lower, 3.5. So you can refine by the important values you have to see what people are saying about that. If pay and benefits is the first thing you think of, then click on that. Click on that pay and benefits one, ratings by category. With reviews, okay, and I'm kind of putting this at the top just to show you, the category component just can't be underscored enough. And so I'm just showing you how you can pull that out and see that if culture is the big thing, click on it. If management's the big thing for you, click on it. Click on all of them, okay? And of course, you can follow these companies, as you see here in blue, with weekly alerts, news, jobs, and of course, as reviews get uploaded, you can get alerts for that too. So this is a really nice and convenient way to learn about the company, what they say about it, learn about what the employees say about it, and match your values. Think back to some of the broad data we showed you about Novartis and the other. Remember, it was 3 out of 4 actually recommend the jobs to their colleagues. It was like 74%. Well, here we get some more information. How many people are satisfied with their salary? Well, that's a good number, 81%. Most people think they're paid fairly at Novartis. And that was based on 668 ratings. So of those 3.4 thousand reviews, not everybody actually bothered to answer this one. And it gives you an opportunity to add your rating should you work there. You might be wanting to know what those benefits are, and Indeed can provide you that within the Novartis page. So common benefits, the 401k. Oh, good, we talked about that. Dental insurance, various employee discounts, which you may or may not be able to click on depending on the company to learn about. So for example, some Bay Area companies provide discounts on your monthly phone bill if your carrier is Verizon or AT&T, for example. Other discounts at coffee shops and restaurants might apply. They currently have health insurance and life insurance and vision. And those are key components. And again, you want to dig a little deeper when you are thinking about these. And as I said before in a couple slides ago, not just that they have a 401k, but is there a match? Not just that you have health insurance, but how much do I have to contribute? Is it an HMO versus a PPO? HMO versus PPO is very important when you think about the choice and how much choice you have in your doctor. And there's a cost associated with more or less choice. And lastly, look at this. Questions about Novartis. On average, how many hours do you work per day? You think that's an important question with some insightful answers? I sure want to know that. 12 people gave you a reply. What is the vacation policy like at Novartis? How many vacation days do you get per year? Vacations are so important. Go up there and explore the forests of Oregon. It's fantastic. Wow, all those waterfalls, dog friendly, green all the time. What benefits do they offer? And so you see that there's actually a lower amount of answers, and that's in part because some of these functions on Indeed are new, and so they're still building their database of these answers. So you have 12, 9, and 8. So smaller sample size for sure versus the overall ratings. But these companies and these platforms are continually making improvements and allowing you to get more data. And so this one's a little bit newer. What you see when you click on any one employee's particular review is very similar to what you saw when we looked at the other websites. I'm going to just give you one example because we don't need to read a bunch of reviews again, but it's related to management, and they gave this 1 out of 5. And this kind of thing may or may not be important to you. They worked for Novartis as a contract consultant just for a short period of time. They allowed another third party to come in and discriminate against sexual orientation towards employees. This is big. Look at this. This is actually very, very concerning. And for me, is a way to potentially turn me off to either this particular part of Novartis, which this is East Hanover, New Jersey, if you look at the location, or maybe this particular division, or maybe this was a one-off thing, and we need to further vet this, okay? So remember, one that is cherry-picked, like I just did, is just one. And so if the majority are positive and never say this, maybe something else is happening here. You want to look for the similarities and differences amongst them. Salary's excellent, management changes. Okay, we've actually heard that one before about that. Once again, our online tools have provided us a way to understand money in terms of salary and what to expect. This is Indeed's searchable database right here. It says search and compare salaries, over 600 million salaries. Ooh, I'd like my salary to be $600 million. That'd be nice. You can enter a company name or job title and search for reviews. We've been over this, and so I'm not going to dwell on it, but I just wanted to show you that you can do the same thing here as you have on other sites. Rather, I'd like to spend a hot minute on this. And this is nice. Indeed has a how to calculate a fair salary range tutorial. And it's listed as bullet points that should sound familiar to you at this point. And geography is certainly a role. And we've talked about how sometimes a big city like New York might absolutely provide a higher salary for the same job level because of the cost of living, and how some industries don't. And how that research you're doing about these companies, all this market research we're trying to help inspire you to do, will help you understand what to expect for salary. Of course, education level, that makes sense. If you have the bachelor's, the master's, the PhD, the MD, a pharmacy license, all the things that will allow you to command a higher salary as you go up the education ladder. Years of experience will absolutely do the same. That makes sense. And of course, the skill set, and we've been thinking about all those skills that are going to pay the bills and how we improve upon them and get them. The last thing, and we've danced around it a couple times, and so I want to spend a moment on this and go away from Indeed to show you a really helpful website, is learning about what kind of licenses you and certifications you might be able to get. And a lot of great jobs, a ton of great jobs in California ask for these things. For example, clinical lab science. Post-bachelor's, these are typically one-year training programs to get you a license to do clinical lab science. These are paid opportunities. In other words, you typically don't have to contribute any finances towards this training after your bachelor's, so that's obviously very nice. And the starting salaries are pretty high, and there are clear paths for growth and promotion and job satisfaction. And so learning about what types of programs there are and the accreditations that are available is really important. So let's go there. This is one extremely helpful website, naacls.org. And after Googling maybe a little bit and finding different types of accredited programs and whatnot, you're going to find governing bodies that provide information about all the programs that fall under this umbrella. And you're going to see a lot of things here on this particular website. There's links for students, and you see that at the top left here. It says find programs and learn more about scholarships and other resources. And then there's things for the programs themselves. We won't worry about those right now. But if you look there at the bottom, you see upcoming workshops. This website will organize workshops and webinars for you, the public, to freely browse and learn more about anything you're interested in related to the accredited programs that are being advertised through this program website. So, for example, you might learn that California has specific rules about licensing programs. So to practice CLS, for example, clinical lab science here in California, there are only certain out-of-state training programs that it honors. And so if you're thinking about doing the bachelor's here, finishing up, moving to a different state to get a licensing, you come to a website like this to learn, okay, now if I wanted to move back to California and I wanted to practice here, am I eligible to do so? You'll learn about all those across state rules. The webinars are really nice. There's often a little chat bot at the bottom of these things, and it's a little video, and you can actually ask questions to the presenter as they're going and learn a lot more about what it takes and what they look for and what kind of skill sets do they want. I have it circled over there in orange, but there's the two links, Find a Program and Students, that I think I want you to explore a little bit. And again, this is not just for clinical lab scientists. So if you click the Find a Program, it has a little drop-down menu that allows you to enter the state you're interested in, and you can absolutely start with California. And then it has a drop-down for the different programs. And there's more than just clinical lab science here. For example, you have phlebotomy, you have cytotechnology, you have histotechnology, you have pathologist's assistant. And these are all fantastic opportunities, and you might not know anything about any of those things. They're all related to healthcare. They're all related to laboratory science, and they're all making an impact on patient care in clinics. And that might be something that really aligns with your values and your value set. So you can learn about the programs and what they take to get through them and what the jobs look like on the other side by looking at a website like this. I wanted to show you one example of a search result. And when I've entered in the California as my state of interest and medical laboratory science as my program type of interest up at the top, you see here then a boom, tons of hits. And if you scroll down on the website, you'd see a lot more than just what you see here. But you'll find all of the accredited and approved programs that fall under the umbrellas that you put into the search term. So in this case, medical lab and California. And that could have been, again, something like pathology, phlebotomy, etc. There's all sorts of options here. This is really nice. And so what I wanted to point out is that you have now links to each program. So the first one says Arrowhead Regional Medical Center in Colton, California, which is another place in California that I couldn't absolutely not tell you where it is on the map. Same with the next one, Cal State, Dominguez Hills. No idea. That could be down the street. That could be really far away. I just don't know. So what's nice here is that it gives you the location of the school, it gives you the program director, some contact information, and a clickable link. So the underlined Arrowhead Regional Medical Center is clickable. You will then be directed to the program's website where you can find out a ton of information. What are the program deadlines? What are the prerequisite classes you need to take in your undergraduate to be eligible for these training programs? What is the cost, if any? What is the cost to the program to pay you? Some of these actually give you a stipend, which is really nice. And so you'll learn all about those informations, including what is it like to do this program? What's the curriculum? For example, the UC Davis Clinical Lab Science Training Program is a very, very rigorous 8-hour-a-day in the classroom experience. And so you'll get a feel for what the expectation is like. These are very intense, as they're only 1 year post-bachelor's typically. Right in the middle, before you get to all those programs, it says, for clarification on the differences between accredited and approved programs, please click here. And so again, this is a really wonderful way to learn about programs, where they are, what their expectations are, but just more broadly, when you click something like that in the middle, just what is the program itself? And before you kind of look for the specifics of which program and where you'd want to live, just like we talked about before. Let's shift gears just a bit and talk about other things that really, really allow you to maximize the Indeed platform. And this is something we've talked about before, which is organization. And we've mentioned ways that you can initiate it yourself by creating, for example, spreadsheets, and then how some of these hunting and researching websites will actually allow you to sign up for alerts, of course. And then ways that you can actually easily click on saving jobs and applying later. So let's get into this just a little bit further. We've shown before that when you're looking at a particular job, for example, the winery job, that within each one, there's a little option to click Save Job. You know, you saw this on the run. You are not sitting at your computer. You're on your mobile platform. You just want to store it in there for later, and you're going to come back and maybe tailor your resume to the job itself. Well, you can store all that within the platform under the My Jobs moniker. And so this is Indeed.com/myjobs. This is a way to create an account for yourself within Indeed to save all the jobs you're interested in. But it actually gets a lot better than that. Let me show you here down at the bottom some of these features that they're pointing out. And I've put this here next to the green bracket and reminding you that, of course, this organization is key and critical and will set you free when it feels really overwhelming and time-consuming. But this allows you not just to save jobs, but to allow you to track the progress of your application status for any job. And this becomes really important as, for example, you, let's say, apply for a job, or let's say you apply for 10 jobs in week 1 of November, and then you wait to hear back on those, and maybe you hear back from 5 of them in a week, and the other ones are up in the air, and you're waiting on those. In the meantime, you're applying to more jobs in the 2nd week of November, in the 3rd week of November, and so as you're applying for jobs and waiting for jobs and hearing from some jobs and not other jobs, and you're wondering what happened to Steve Jobs, well, I mean, this can be very confusing. And so this is really great. Look what we have here to help us out. The first part is automatic by the platform. Okay, you've got your saved jobs and it'll store them. It will actually move jobs that you've applied to, if you've done that through the platform, to a different tab. And so that's the second bulleted point here, apply jobs. It does that right there for you. The last components are really nice, and they're going to be user generated. So it says interviewing. Now, they don't know if you scheduled an interview, so you have to do that. But when you are in there, you have your saved jobs, and you have some in the applied column and some in the waiting to apply. And you can actually let the platform know, and they'll create a special section for you that you're interviewing for a particular job. So that really, really helps you stay organized. It'll track your movement through the visited jobs, not necessarily the ones you've saved, and you can actually delete that cache at any time. You can move jobs that, you're not just feeling anymore for whatever reason. Maybe it's taking too long. Maybe you changed your mind, to the archive tab, and then you could delete them. And then this is actually really nice, the adding notes there at the very bottom. You can create a little diary for yourself. You can store thoughts about what you are perceiving, especially if you start to interface with the companies. Maybe, again, that first step is the recruiter. You talk to the recruiter, you get a really good vibe, or maybe you don't, before you talk to, say, the hiring manager team. Or maybe they're asking you to do 3 steps. Maybe they want you to do a hiring manager, they want you to do team 1, and then they want you to do team 2 within the company, and maybe you feel like that's too much, or you really love that they're thoroughly doing this for you. So you can add your thoughts here within the platform. So it's a really nice way to keep track of the process, but also record your own thoughts.